Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown, episode 201. I'm your host, Tony Polanco. I'm joined by Chris Seeley, Carlos Romero. Oh, give me a second. We got to do that all over again. What's going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown, episode 201. I'm your host, Tony Polanco. I'm joined by Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Carlos Romero.
What up, what up?
Brian Manjoma.
Hey, people.
Brett Murdoch.
Hello, everybody.
And Adam Vale.
What's going on?
All right, man, we're back with another one. I hope, hopefully nothing crazy is going on Manny's and he had to, leave, so hopefully everything will be all right, man, you know? All right, we're back to our standard intros, although the conversation we had beforehand was pretty interesting about the whole mess with Henry Cavill, man. I mean, we could technically talk about that later since The Witcher is involved, but, you know, whatever. Shit. Okay, before we start, we have a little bit of a surprise for you guys, which will probably start a little bit later when more people get here. I have some codes to give away for the Call of Duty beta that's going on right now. So I'm just going to toss some codes. I'm going to toss some codes into the chat, and whoever gets them, you know?
My throat.
All right. Actually, I guess Adam doesn't want to wait. Let's just jump into our feature topic, man. And Adam, I did this just for you.
Nice.
Just for you, man. So the Call of Duty Black Ops 4 beta, I think it's called Blackout. It went live on Monday, I believe, and I got a code. It's funny, I had a bunch of people because I didn't get a code from Activision, but I got other people get hey, you want this shit? I'm like, no, but I know people that would want it, so I gave Adam one, you know, because he's the big Call of Duty head here. He's a duty head. He's a duty head, you know. So I'm gonna give this man his time here to talk about this this beta. Yo, by the way, before you even start, man, this beta is crazy because, you know, Adam, I'm sure you've seen this too. The community is divided.
It's very divided.
Wow.
It's very
anyway,
divided.
Go ahead, man.
All right. So some backstory. So yeah, I've been playing Call of Duty since the beginning, before it was even Call of Duty, when the team was still doing Medal of Honor, and then when he jumped off and he started doing the Call of Duty. So I have history with this. I love it. I love the franchise. Play all of them. Not crazy about the Battle Royale mode itself, that whole genre, whatever it wants to be called now, because now if you're going to start making these games built around it, then I guess it's a genre, right? It's no longer just a mode. So, you know, I got this code and I said, no, let me just give it the benefit of the doubt. So I jump in there. Obviously, for everyone that's seen any videos, it's PUBG and first person. That's what it is. At least this map that they showed us. Open field, very open, you know, some buildings here and there, some structures, you're just finding stuff and a lot of running and the world is closing. And that's what I kept feeling in this. I'm like, wait, this doesn't feel like Call of Duty. I mean, what made Call of Duty, especially when it comes to multiplayer, which makes it different from the Battlefield, is that it's small. It's close quarters. It's more run and gun, pop, pop, pop. There's a lot of action going on. That's not this mode. And I get that the multiplayer is going to be in Black Ops 4 and all, but man, this Battle Royale, I guess if this is what people want, and I saw those reactions too, the people that are playing Fortnite and PUBG went bonkers over this. They were like, oh my God, this is it. I'm selling all my other games and I'm focused on okay, you're in love with this genre. But for people that are into Call of Duty, just playing the Call of Duty, this is not the game that we're looking for. At least this mode, this is not what we're going into this for. You know, if you look at a lot of pro streamers, you know, there was some actually that did a retract because they were like, yeah, I'm just going to focus on the multiplayer like usual, you know, for the next gen. I'm not going to go into this. And people just flamed them for it. They're like, no, you got to do it. And I'm like, all right, fine. I guess I have to do it to keep my channel alive, you know, but it's just, it does not feel like a Call of Duty game. And that's the downfall. People are like, oh, does it shoot like it? Yeah, it shoots like it. The weapons are there. That's the structure. But the gameplay, the mechanics, you know, running around and stuff, it just doesn't feel like Call of Duty. It's like they said, you know what? We can make a PUBG first-person shooter. We could do that. Let's do it. And they did it. And they didn't add any other little twist to it, you know, at least not from what we've seen so far. I mean, what was it? One of the main changes that they made recently during the beta was they went from 80 to 88. So they're testing it because remember, they still haven't said if they're going to keep it at that, and they have not mentioned anything about doing a full 100. But the few times that I've played, I've had some encounters. I've tried the groups, and we're running around and we're getting into vehicles, or trying to find other people. It feels very empty. And even when they were like, oh yeah, we attached all these other maps that you remember, Nuketown and stuff, they're like variations. They don't really look like those areas. So I was like, I sort of remember this, but there's nothing iconic that's sticking out. And I just, maybe it's just a map. Maybe they were just trying to throw something that people are comfortable with, because that map, the whole feel of it was very PUBG. You know, and that's not what I was expecting. You know, at least for when I first heard about this, I was like, you know what? Call of Duty's getting. Remember, I think I brought it up on the show. I'm like, this is going to be a big budget. They're probably going to add all the environmental effects, because people that play Call of Duty know that there's a lot of environmental effects, like whether it's raining, things are exploding in the back, you're seeing planes. There was one version where the certain environments could explode. You can trigger certain things, you know, make a building fall or make a crane fall or open up a dam, those type of things. And they didn't hint at any of that. Maybe that's later down the road that'll come, but they didn't show that. They just showed an open PUBG world. It was just very widespread, and I'm like, man, this is boring. You know, it's not what I want. And that's where the divide comes in, because you have a lot of people that are big into Call of Duty for the campaign. They like the whole Michael Bay story, craziness, over the top. They expect it every year, you know, and they don't like the multiplayer only because they're not good at it. They don't put the time in. You know, you go in there and there's already people that have been playing 4 or 5 years straight of the MPs, and they know what to do, and they're prestiging on you. So they don't do it. But then you got the people that are very big on the multiplayer. A lot of the pro streamers that are working about the builds, and it's all about the gear sets and doing this and strategy, and so, and those are the ones that are getting all the hits. That's the other world. And now you're adding this PUBG experience, and you're bringing that crowd, and that's not something within that universe. So you're getting a new crowd of people that, like I mentioned in one, I don't want to bring up the pro streamer because he was kind of bitter about it, but he's like, I guess this is what I have to do then, because people were like seeing some nasty shit, but like, well, then I'm not going to subscribe on this. You call yourself a fan. They were just flaming on him about him not wanting to cover that and just focus on the multiplayer aspect, because that's where the real strategy comes in when it comes to doing their loadouts. It's all about the loadouts, getting the gear, the equipment, and the different classes. But you know, people want that PUBG. That's the new hotness. So is it gonna sell? I think it will. I think just for the people that are into Fortnite and into PUBG, they're gonna jump all over this. You know, because this is what they want. This that first person. It ran pretty smooth. I had no issues with that. I gotta say that. It did no issues. You know, but then again, like I said, it was very bland looking. If I was to just grab somebody who's played a Call of Duty off the street and say, hey, take a look at this first person shooter, what do you think? That no one, that I'm guaranteed no one's going to look at it and say, wow, this is a Call of Duty game. Nope, it did not. It looked like generic first person shooter. You know, but it is a beta. This is probably the simplest map, not a lot going on, and they just probably wanted to test to see how many players they could have connected. So we'll have to see, but I wasn't impressed. You know, it's not what I want from a Call of Duty game. If this, honestly, if this Black Ops came out with a campaign like they originally planned, and that this was supposed to be paid DLC down the road, I'd be cool with it, because that's an option, and that's an option I could pass on. But the fact that this Call of Duty is all MP, all zombies, and they're like building around Black Ops, it's a mess. And it even says it shows at the beginning, it says Raven Studio, because remember, they're the ones doing it, but yet Treyarch is the one that's talking about it and doing the whole thing. But no, I get some of you guys are working on it, but remember, this was a different studio that was producing this mode.
The online mode was essentially
yeah,
was that
so it's like I feel like they just doing a hodgepodge. They were like, all right, they scrambled, and it shows a lot of, I guess there's a lot of credibility to that original report that we saw months and months ago, when it was like that insider. Remember, the whole thing was like, hey, they screwed up on the campaign. It's not going to be done by launch, so they're scrapping it. They're focusing on the multiplayer, a lot of zombies, and their battle royale mode, and that the team that was doing the campaign, they're going to take some of those guys to help Raven so they can try to get that ready for launch, because that was not ready for launch. That was supposed to be DLC for next year. And just from everything that I see and all the things that was oh yeah, we added this map and all the maps that you want, so you just had stuff already and you're sticking it together. You know, you're making a blanket out of these maps. Nothing's original. Yeah, and so it just but again, everybody that's really into Fortnite, PUBG, they're all on that kick of Battle Royale. They're going to eat this up. They're definitely going to eat this up. You know, but the divide comes in of, are the guys that are into campaign Call of Duty, are they going to jump on this? Probably not, because this isn't enough for them. And then the multiplayer guys might stick with it because of the multiplayer is still there. So, but the PUBG thing, that's going to bring a whole other audience in. We're going to see a lot of guys, because I've seen it, or even, I'm not a big follower of Fortnite, but I know other people that are, and you see a lot of new names, a lot of big names that come into the whole genre, just pro streaming Fortnite with their buddies. And you're hearing a lot of these guys saying they're going to make that jump to go to Call of Duty. So you're going to see a whole other flux of new people into that franchise, which could be good. I mean, I'm sure for Activision it's going to be good, but it's not going to be good for people that want the traditional Call of Duty. Hopefully the next one will come complete with a campaign and then have a PUBG. But if not, if this takes off, this might be its own thing. So. And
yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Too.
Like,
Just
do you
divide
think?
it up? But for me personally, I don't have that feel of a Call of Duty in this.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Do you think, like, or do you fear that if this takes off, like really takes off, that this is going to be the new face of Call of Duty?
I think it'll be one of them. Remember, they have 3 different studios that work on these games. So one of the series could easily go into this world. It's sad that it's the Black Ops one, because the Black Ops one was like the best one for the campaign because they have 4-player co-op. So it's like, yeah, grab through your buddies, go crazy in the story. That was awesome. The other ones, you can't do that. So it's said that this is the one that they use as a guinea pig. I felt that they should have, and this is something that they had talked about before at E3s and stuff, when everyone was like, oh, you're doing these tournaments and all this stuff. Why don't you just make a special edition of just multiplayer, Call of Duty multiplayer, champion edition, whatever, and then just update that one, make it separate. Oh, yeah, maybe. I could see that happening if this PUBG takes off, that they eventually come up with a special one every year, because it doesn't have to do the 3-year rotation, because it's not doing a campaign or anything. Just make a special one that'll have the PUBG, their Blackout and some multiplayer, whatever. Pretty much what we're getting now. Just take the Blackout, the Black Ops name off of it, so that way Black Ops could still come back. Because the whole
they could probably just call it Blackout, Call of Duty Blackout.
There you go. Yeah, call it. Yeah, there you go. Do that. But I think maybe that was the plan. But with the campaign falling apart the way it did, it just threw a big monkey wrench into the whole thing. So it's all screwed up. So we'll have to see what happens with the next one. That's a different studio that's doing it. Forgot which one, because there's 3 studios that rotate on it. But I know that one is coming along. So once that happens, we'll see. But I have a feeling that this will take off. But again, we don't know how the other maps are going to look. We don't know how the connection is going to hold up, if they're even going to keep at the 80 or the 88. It might be even less. So what was it? I think one of the producers, the developers, came out recently and said that he was aiming for 115, that they wanted to go above 100. So I was like, all right, we'll see. But it didn't feel like a Call of Duty. It just felt like a first-person shooter version of PUBG. So it looked like it, felt like it, everything about it. The world was closing in on me, and I just I didn't have that feel. It's like, think about it. Like, if you want to run around and like take cover and do those type of things, you can't really do that, because you got to keep moving because the world is closing in on you. So it just didn't have that Call of Duty feel. How
does the world close in this?
It does the same type of thing. They give you a countdown, and then you'll see like a wave starts coming in. So then
what's it a wave of? Like gas?
It's just like a light. No, it looks like it's just like a bright, glowing light. Like, I didn't really pay much attention to if there was anything after. It wasn't like explosions. That's one thing. I didn't see any explosions. It was just like a wave, and then everything, and then your heart rate is like boom, 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 that type of thing. And then it just kept closing. There was no music or anything.
How were the graphics? Did it look like shitty, like
sharp.
PUBG?
No, it didn't look shitty. It definitely looked sharp, but it looked plain. That's the thing. It just open fields, just a lot of open fields, some sporadic structures here and there, but it just felt very bland. it didn't have that grittiness that you expect to see. You know, that's one thing when you jump into these Call of Duty maps, and that's what people like, is that they all have this distinct feel. You know, whether it's like the World War II one where you're in like a small town in France, there's things on fire, the building's crumbling, there's debris, there's tunnels. It didn't have any of that variety. It was like just run, get into a building, try to pick up some gear. Hopefully you find a gun, get some clips, and then get in a vehicle if you can. If not, just keep running and running, and hopefully you find somebody and you can shoot them. And that's it. It's very much like PUBG. It's quiet. You'll hear like some shooting in the distance, like pop, 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 you know, and that's it. And some people, they love it. I can understand that and relate to some of the adrenaline there when you're like, you sort of hear somebody coming around the corner. You're not sure if it's someone in your team or not, but you're like, I hear them. You know, you have a weapon. You're worried about it because once you die, that's it. There's no respawn. You go into spectator mode or you just back out. So besides, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it does look sharp. It doesn't look cheap. That's for sure. It does not look cheap, but it just doesn't look or feel like a Call of Duty game. You know, and it's its own thing. You know, that's it. It's battle royale. This is their version of doing it, and for that audience, this is what they want, and they're gonna get it.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see. I mean, when is this coming out? November or something?
Yeah, November. Let me see the date because I know.
Or is it? Yeah, it's either November. It can't be October because everybody's skipping October for obvious reasons. You know. All right, man. So thank you for that mini review there. All right. It's gonna be interesting because I got some codes to give away for this game, but judging from the comments, people don't like this game either. But we'll see what happens. So I'm gonna toss in the first code here. This is for PS4. First come, first serve. You know. Toss it out there. Whoever grabs it, grabs it. So enjoy the Call of Duty beta. I'm going to give out another code after the next segment, unless anybody has any comments on Call of Duty. Because again, Adam, this is why I like having you here because none of us really give a fuck about this shit. Yeah. You know,
it's interesting hearing, you know, because you know obviously you're so into the series, and it's like it's just hearing that kind of disappointment. It's like, yeah, here now we're. It's funny this year. It seems like both the EA first person shooter and the Activision first person shooter kind of screwed up a little bit.
You know, you know what?
Wait, it says October 12th of release.
October 12th. That's what Richard said. What's going on, Richard? Actually, you know what? I want to bring up something. I was talking to Joel Tavares, who was my former editor over at DualShockers. Right, we were having a conversation on Twitter. Very interesting. Mm-hmm. He believes that this year both Battlefield 5 and Call of Duty will be hit by what he calls the Fortnite effect. He believes because Fortnite is so big now, people are still playing the game, right? They're not suddenly gonna jump ship to go play these other games, especially since both are kind of mired in controversy, especially Battlefield 5. So do you think it's possible that Fortnite might steal some of the thunder of the traditional big first-person shooters that normally dominate at this time of year?
It depends. It very much depends because there's something else that Fortnite has and same thing with PUBG that people really like. It's the cosmetics. You know, it's changing up your character. It's to look like, you know, what you're flying. Or remember they had the Xenos thing going on. They had that little time. It's just cosmetics, and that's not something big with Call of Duty. At least this is a first-person shooter. Now, it did show that you could customize that, but those things were blocked out. So I'm assuming they're going to have that, and I'm assuming it's going to have a lot of those type of things where, hey, you want cosmetics, you can either find them or you can buy them. If they do something like that, maybe it'll lure people in. But again, it's first person. Can't really see that. You know,
well, there was a lot of cosmetics inside of Destiny, and you couldn't see that shit either.
Yeah, there you go. So, I mean, who knows? But that's one thing that I definitely know that a lot of people that do play Fortnite, they love that. They love the fact, and I was thinking with PUBG, it's like, oh, my guy's running around in a white t-shirt and undies with a gas mask on, you know, and they like doing it. They just find it funny. So that's also how it makes its money, right? People put in money and they go and they buy these cosmetics and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see if Call of Duty had that, because then that's something that they could say, hey, we could do all that stuff that you like to play better, and we have those features that you like. But who knows? But I think it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough because it does have a younger audience, and also we got the key part of the whole thing. Fortnite's free. You know, Call of Duty, you still have to pay the $60.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? It's like Fortnite has like all this huge player install base. The shit is free, why, if you're playing Fortnite, what reason do you have to go try out Call of Duty and Battlefield 5 when you already got? Remember, Battlefield 5 is doing a fucking battle royale thing too. You know.
Yep. But the thing with theirs is that they also have a campaign, and that's the big thing. It's like even the gameplay is big. It's different when it comes to the Battlefield. I play both of them yearly. I love the campaigns, but I just enjoy the campaigns of Call of Duty a little better. I just feel it's more tighter with the weapons and aiming and stuff. But yeah, at least that version, it's going to have the campaign, the multiplayer, the battle royale. No season pass needed. All that stuff is there. As opposed to Call of Duty's coming out, no campaign, has a season pass, and I'm sure they're going to tie in where there are going to be some blackout maps behind that paywall. And it's still $60. So if they're trying to jump in, they have to wow people. That's the thing. You're gonna have to. I'm not impressed, but I'm not that audience. The Fortnite crowd, they need something to be wowed. They like to do the cosmetics. That's a big thing for them. Well, I didn't see any of that in this. Also, the world looked very bland. I'm expecting that they go all out. That these worlds look like real crazy Call of Duty worlds. So that way you're like, wow, that's a AAA game doing this battle royale. Right now, it looked polished, it looked clean, but it looked boring. And it didn't have that AAA feel. It looked like just a generic first-person battle royale game. So they need to show more if they want to lure that audience. But I'm sure for just the fact of it being a Call of Duty and some people that are into the whole battle royales trying it, they'll be like, yeah, that'll be great. Plus it's multiplayer. Because that's the thing. There's tons of people that just play multiplayer. We hear it all the time whenever a Call of Duty comes out, right? The numbers don't lie. The trophies and achievement system don't lie. When you see a trophy for Chapter 3 completion as ultra rare, what does that tell you? And especially if the game has been out for like a year, no one's playing the campaigns. They're going straight into multiplayer because we know they're playing it because it's always in the top 10 in the MPDs. They're not buying it and just putting it on the shelf. They're playing the multiplayer. So it's still going to have that. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to go out there and still buy it, but let's see how many people that drop off because one, they don't care about the battle royale, and two, even though they probably didn't really play the campaign, maybe they feel like they're being cheated. They're like, well, this is $60 still, and there's no campaign. Battlefield's $60. That's campaign and that new as battle royale mode that I don't really give two shits about. But at least I know it's all included. You're charging me more and giving me less. So I'm sure that's going to come up. And besides just Fortnite, of course, is going to be a big cock blocker when it comes to all this. We just said it. We got Red Dead. Red Dead is going to block everybody, and that just offers something for everyone. I mean, if GTA 5 is any indication, look at all the people still playing that. Don't tell me that none of those people are going to jump over to Red Dead.
Didn't Red Dead also have a very similar online mode to a battle royale where it was like a dust storm that was closing in on the town?
They had something, yeah. They had it with the ghost town. They've had all of them have done it. Call of Duty had a mode before where it was I'm trying to remember the name. It was like one shot, and you just ran around with a pistol, and if I remember it, you only had one bullet. And you're running around, and it wasn't that many people. I think it was still like 12 people or something. And then you just shoot the person, the last person standing wins. Maybe it was called Last Stand, but it was something they did a while ago. They've all done their variation of this, and this is not new. It's just what's hot right now. It's just having the big brawl type of thing. We also had, even before with Battlefield, had Conquest mode, which had like 50 or 60 people. There was big brawls like that, and it did nothing. No one really cared. It sounded great, but no one really cared. It's just now this is what people are playing, and this is what they're interested in. For some reason, it caught on with PUBG, even though there was other games that did it before PUBG. It is what it is.
I wonder how well MAG would have done in this environment.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like MAG, remember MAG came out, and that was supposed to be like this way back in the day on PS3, and it didn't happen. People just didn't care at the time.
It's interesting, man. I really think a lot of this has to do with the fact that people just want to jump on the bandwagon. I'm just being honest. I don't think these games are good at all. I think people are just jumping on there because it's a bandwagon thing.
That's what I mean. Here's the thing. It's let's use the word. It's a zeitgeist mode.
And I know dudes are gonna come here. Oh, Tony, you know what you're talking about, dude. I played PUBG. I played fucking Fortnite, and I played H1Z1. They're all the same game. They're all the same.
It's like Flappy Bird. Remember that when that came out? There's nothing special about that. Everybody wanted it. Then there was a bunch of clones, and then eventually it fizzled out.
remember when all the shooting games suddenly everyone had a horde mode?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same thing here. It's like Call of Duty is trying to do its best to remain as relevant as it possibly can.
Agreed.
And they're removing their most expendable asset, which is the campaign, which is the thing that people play the least. And that's why they're doing this.
But didn't they try this before, where they tried to remove the campaign and people lost their minds about it?
I don't
I feel
remember
like
that.
it's been tried before.
No, they don't. It was sort of what I mentioned. They had talked about making once they started doing those tournaments and there's those Call of Duty championships and stuff. They had talked about making one where it was just multiplayer for that audience, but they just never went through with it because it was supposed to be like, what if you just had a multiplayer version that came out and you did seasons like what we're seeing now with Siege and things like that, but it was just with the multiplayer aspect of it, just the maps and stuff like that. They just never did it. So if I felt like this would have been great if they would have did this and not put it under the Black Ops name. Stop, don't use that brand. Just create another brand, just branch off. Say, hey, this year we're going to go in a different approach and do something else. Once you slap that on it, everyone already comes in with some expectations. And like I mentioned, the 4-player co-op story mode and jumping around and really squad-based action stuff. And then that's gone. And it sucks because that's what this franchise was known for. So if you're going to go in this whole new direction where you're going to just focus on zombies and multiplayer and battle royales, then give it a different name because this is all multiplayer shit.
It just sounds like they're just flashing all the current trends. It's like zombie mode, battle royale,
man, the zombie
customizable
mode.
characters.
Oh, God.
Zombie mode, man. Too much. It's overkill. It's like every year I get it.
Boxes.
You have to add it, but it's over. It's the same thing over and over again. It's like you run into a room, you turn on some levers, you run out of the room, you open up a door, then you finally have to go back, get some more kills, build up the XP so you can open up the door that you just passed 2 floors down, and you just keep recycling, and they just keep doing this in different locations, but the gameplay remains the same in all of those. I mean, I remember one time they added with the gas canisters where it reminded me a lot like Left 4 Dead 2. Where you're filling up the truck so you can get it to go, and then the other guys have to cover it. And that was kind of cool, but still, it's like, this is too much of that. And then now they're doing all the other fantasy stuff, as we saw in some of the trailers for this version. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna go into this world, and it's like you're gonna go into like a Coliseum type thing. It's like, you're trying to make it seem like it's a story, but it's not. It's the same old shit. And even in this, I forgot to mention that there are zombies in this world in the battle royale. In their version, I didn't come across any of them, but some of the other parts, depending on where you drop, you actually come across zombies. So they just sprinkled zombies in certain parts of it.
We got everything you
we
want.
Have zombies at the
Yeah,
all right,
so
let's move on. I don't want to talk about this shit anymore. Fuck Call of Duty. But Adam Mill, thank you for that, man. Because again, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have even talked about it.
Can I ask the ultimate question though?
Oh shit.
Are you getting it?
I was good.
No. I mean, there has to be a big reason. Like I said, if they went really all out, because this is what I thought when I first heard this, and if people want to go back, no one will though. But if they did, when we first saw the trailer about this, and they were like, "Are you excited for it?" And I was like, sort of, yeah, because I saw a AAA studio with a lot of money behind it jumping into this. I'm like, man, they could make this epic. But I'm thinking of the world, the environment, everything was going to feel Call of Duty, but Battle Royale. I didn't get that feeling in this. So I would have to see a lot more. And I think the map is just too open. And here it is. It was like I was playing with 80 people and then later on 88 people, and it still felt very empty. I was running for most of the time and just seeing my number rise up as I'm still surviving, and I'm like, shit. I mean, I could just
Adam, real talk. I think you played all you're gonna see in this game, bro. I don't think they could do anything that's gonna make it different than what it is, and I think you know that too.
Yeah.
Oh well. Check this out. What's going on, DMV fan? What's going on, brother? He goes, y'all are the first people that I've heard that are down on Blackout. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, we talked about this before. Like, the community is split. But just for the record, Adam is down on it. The rest of us don't care.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. You
I
know?
feel I feel let down not just for the if like I said before, if it was just the mode and they had everything else, I wouldn't care. I'm like, whatever, it's there, it's just an add-on. It's not. This is what they're building around. This is their focal point. And so when I look at this brand, this version now, I'm like, it sticks out of my face. It's like, oh, don't you want to play this battle royale? No, I don't. So I
You
guess
know
I
you
don't.
want that battle royale mode.
Don't you want to play battle royale?
But
With
remember, that's one thing that
zombies?
Fortnite, the fact that it's free, the fact that it's gotten into the zeitgeist with all the casuals that just pick it up and play it on their phones or their Switch or do that whole party thing, that's very accessible. This is a $60 price point. To tell those same people, hey, jump into this. I was like, but it's $60. I'm not paying $60. I just wanted to play with you guys because I'm hanging out with you here, in fucking parking lot smoking or whatever. And I'm not doing the fucking $60 shit. That's the thing. So we'll see if those numbers jump up.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's move on here to the. I moved this up to Q because I want to just get into this now, man. So about this Nintendo Direct.
Man, you don't want to talk about that Sony?
Oh no, we'll get to that. I just said I just moved it up to Q. We'll talk about Sony. But yeah, let's talk about Nintendo. Chris, what happened to this Direct, man?
Yeah, so I mean, this was a pretty loaded potato. I think it was about 40 minutes long, and they kind of throw a lot of stuff in there. A, because this is a lot of stuff that I think they should have talked about at E3 but didn't. And B, they saved it. They saved a lot of this info because this is end of September is the end of the second quarter of the year, the fiscal year for Nintendo. So it looks good to investors if they have a lot of content coming out. And investors, remember, they were worried after E3, their stock dropped a good percentage because investors are like, you cannot just have Smash Brothers for holidays and Pokemon. Like, that's not enough. So that's what this was. This was the loaded potato to make investors happy that they have plenty of content coming out for the holiday and then into next year. Now, they didn't have huge things like bombs like Zelda and Mario Odyssey. But they're porting a lot of stuff from the Wii U, which we've called out in the show before, and then they're going to get their online sorted, and I'll talk about that in a second. And there's some new titles. They got good deals with a good deal of Square content coming, so I'll talk about that. So I'll just go what I thought was good, what I thought is and then what I think is poor. I'll just do it that way because I don't
So the
remember
good, the bad, and the ugly.
the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? Or yeah, that works. All right. So what was good? So I'll jump to the end. So the Animal Crossing fans can finally be happy and shut up because they are going to make an Animal Crossing for the Switch. So it was just they didn't show anything of it. They just showed Tom Nook talking, and then there was a logo. So you got a logo. So you can now rejoice. You have Animal Crossing, and it's coming to the Switch. And then they also before that, um, now I don't think this is good. I don't care, but they added an Animal Crossing character named Isabelle to the roster for Smash Brothers. She's right in between a hangnail and a door, which will also be new fighters in the thing because they're throwing everything in there. I joked before, like there will be like Sharknado and I don't know anything a Sakurai can get his hands out to throw in the game will be added. So they added her. Okay, so there's a Luigi's Mansion 3 is gonna come out for Switch next year. So I don't know. I like that game. They're porting the first one to 3DS. The first one was on GameCube. I played the second one on 3DS. That game got ridiculously hard, though. I don't think I finished it, but it was good for what it is. And this game, he's not in the mansion. It looks like he's in a giant hotel tower that's haunted. So
Also,
that'll
like
be interesting.
Poltergeist.
Yeah, he looks like he's in a big haunted hotel. So that looked good. I enjoyed that little thing. Um, there's a remake of the first Katamari Damacy coming out for Switch. It's called Reroll, and that looked cool. If you like the Katamari games, or if you've never played them, which many Nintendo fans go, "Oh, is this new?" No, it's not new, but it's new to you, so you will enjoy it. Um, Let me think. there's the Starlink game that Ubisoft's making. They showed all the Star Fox content for it, and it looks nice. Like, I have to give Ubisoft credit. The game does look good, and it honestly, I want to say shame on Nintendo because like it took Ubisoft to bring. It's not a Star Fox exclusive game, but it took Ubisoft to make you a good Star Fox game because Zero was trash.
You know.
Let's just be real. So yeah,
They'll just say that that's not canon, though.
oh yeah, of course not, because they're giving the license to someone else, so it's just it exists somewhere in this nebulous like whatever, you know. They're letting Game Freak make another game besides Pokemon. This is a miracle.
Really? Is it Drill Dozer 2?
No, it's just called Town right now. This is a working title. It's called Town. It's an RPG, and you play these little characters. You defend the town against giant monsters. So I thought that was neat. And yeah, like the last original game, like Manny said, they made besides Pokemon was Drill Dozer, and that's all they have made, I think, in their original roster. Now I could be wrong. I don't remember anything before that, but that was a GBA game.
Wasn't there a submarine game they also made too?
Wait, did they make Steel Diver?
I don't know. I could just be.
Yeah. So I don't remember anything besides Drill Dozer. So this is like interesting, and it doesn't look like anything else. It doesn't really look like Pokemon or anything. It looks different, and I was pleasantly surprised. So I'll give him a checkbox. That's in the good good part.
So somebody over there just went, "Hey guys, by the way, we can make other games other than Pokemon games." Really?
Yeah. Okay, so they're gonna get Mega Man also. So if you like Mega Man, or you never played it, you're gonna get Mega Man 11. That's cool. There's a Capcom beat 'em up bundle. And I think this is interesting. As long as Capcom got a good company that didn't fuck this up, you're gonna get Final Fight, Captain Commando. These are arcade versions, by the way. Captain Commando, Knights of the Round, and Last Dragon or something like that. I forgot the name of the other one. But those are all arcade beat 'em ups from Capcom, and they're all in this bundle. And they're supposed to be online multiplayer. Now, I don't know. The direct wasn't clear, and I'd have to look this up for you guys. If that's tied to the Nintendo Online, like paid, I don't think it is. But they're not clear about anything, so I'll have to look that up.
Just so people know, that game. This is the part that's going to interest us. That game is for PS4 and Xbox as well. So yeah, I'm hyped for that. I'm very hyped for that. But Switch, skip it. get it on a real system.
Let's hope that it's not always on like the previous Final Fight Double Impact was.
I'm pretty sure this is going to be exactly like that. I think this is just Double Impact.
I think
this is just like Double Impact.
I think this is quadruple impact.
Yeah, pretty much. Right? Or pretty much.
By the way, I did do something for that game as well.
I mean, you doing art?
Oh.
No, not that game, not that, but for the previous one.
Yeah, you
Final Fight Double Impact. If you ever go on a PlayStation store and you see an icon of poison, it's something that I actually colored for something for Capcom. Yeah,
nice.
So yeah.
Yo, by the way, Hussein's funny. He's like, move on to the next subject, bro. We just got started on Nintendo, man.
Yeah, we're gonna be here for a while.
We're gonna be a little bit. Just sit back and relax, bro.
Yo, you don't like no Nintendo? What's up with you?
You gotta give them they're getting some decent titles, and they like at least this new guy, he's keeping his word, right? He's like, I want to get new content on here constantly. So this one is pretty loaded. Like I said, like I watched it and I'm like, damn, it's like one title after another. They didn't really waste time in the direct. I thought 40 minutes, yawn. They're going to talk about Splatoon for like an hour. No, they didn't. They actually had other things to show. The game I was curious about from E3 that they showed for like 2, maybe 1 minute with the mechs, Daemon X Machina. Yo, that looks good, man. I was like, yo, it's like it looks like Gundam, and apparently you can fight, or more like Zone of Enders, right? But when you battle a guy and you beat him, you could take his weapons and integrate them into your mech, and you can configure it however you want. So that looked really good, and they finally showed some gameplay, and I was like, oh man, that looks pretty nice. You know, I'm a little curious about that. So I was like, that goes on my good list there.
Unleash the good.
Isn't that game?
Don't ever quote that movie.
Okay, yeah. Isn't that game that one dude keeps asking us about? Like, yo, y'all hype for that? I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know.
Well, I've seen it now, and I think it looks nice. Like it looks, it looks like a Gundam game, and kind of like Zona Enders. But the appeal of like you can salvage your enemies and take it and add it to your mech and customize it. That was pretty cool. Excuse me. They're getting a port of City Skylines and a port of Civilization 6, which I don't know. Those are pretty PC heavy games like City Skylines. I know I have on Steam. I don't have Civ 6, but Civilization's always been a PC series, so I don't know how those would look or play on the Switch. Like I don't know how you port that, but you know they're getting that, so that's pretty interesting. Mario Tennis is getting. Oh, that's not in my good list. What am I saying?
Put that shit in the other slot, man.
Yeah, I gotta move it. Oh, Warframe. So Warframe is coming to the Switch. I did not know that was coming.
Yeah, Brian's finally getting a Switch, man.
Yeah, that's insane, and it has crossplay because the promo said you can join more than 38 million players for free. Co-op Space Ninja action game. I didn't know that's what it was classified as.
Yeah, it is.
You know, okay, so you got that. And they got Lego DC Supervillains. I mean, the Lego game's always fun, so I'll throw it in there. It's like they haven't made a bad one of those yet, so there you go. And Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is getting another add-on, so that game is now up to like 400 hours probably of gameplay. I don't know, it'll probably take you forever. So they added that, so that's cool. It has an expansion pass, but man, whatever. You know how I feel about that.
Wait, is it true that most of these were just like logos?
No, they showed the Daemon X Machina. They showed gameplay. Town, the Game Freak game, they showed gameplay. Katamari Damacy, they showed gameplay. The Capcom thing, they showed. I don't know if it was cut right from the game, but they showed the screens from the different games. They showed Final Fight. They showed Knights of the Round. They showed Battle Circuit and Armored Warriors, which I'd never seen before. I don't know if they came to America, those two games, but they showed them. City Skyline they showed. Civ 6 was a logo. I don't think they showed that. Mega Man they showed.
Yeah. I wonder what he's talking about. He's like, they just showed a bunch of logos.
No, Starlink they showed. No, I watched it. Like I would tell you, Animal Crossing was a logo. But that's one of the few logos I saw. Most of it they showed actual screens.
Yeah, okay. He's talking about Metroid and Bayonetta 3, I guess. Okay.
Oh yeah, that was back in E3. Okay, so the meh, you got your sports game. You got NBA 2K19. Whatever.
Cares?
On the go.
You know, yeah, FIFA.
You can play it on the roof, man. You know.
You can play it on. you can abandon your roof party, just play that shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they showed more. Okay, in the good slot, back to the good slot, they showed more Pokemon. Let's go Pikachu, let's go Eevee. But that was already known. They just showed more of it, and they have a custom bundle of the Switch coming with probably with a digital download of the game. It comes with the ball, and the dock and the Joy-Cons are engraved with the art from the game.
Yeah. By the way, Hussein says that he says Luigi 3 and Animal Crossing were just logos.
No, Luigi's Mansion 3 they showed. They actually showed a little gameplay of it. That's how I know. How would I know he's in a hotel from a logo?
Yeah. Yo, Hussein, I think you just saw those logos on Twitter, bro.
Yeah. Anyway, no, they showed him walking around. They showed him fighting. They showed the Luigi's Mansion port for 3DS, and they showed Luigi's Mansion 3. They did. It wasn't just logo. They did show it.
Yeah. Correction.
So I'll give them credit.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead, Ben.
All right. So mediocre. Like again, the sports games. I didn't care. Mario Tennis Aces, I don't care. Splatoon 2, I don't care. So they have some sort of update for it. Like if you're into that stuff, that's cool. There's a spin-off of Yokai Watch for 3DS called Yokai Watch Blasters, which looks like you take the monsters from Yokai Watch and you make them Ghostbusters somehow.
They
even drive around in a car that's similar to the Ecto one.
You want to hear something funny? That game had actually been heavily edited to not look like Ghostbusters, but you're still saying it looks like Ghostbusters.
That's the first thing I saw.
It was more Ghostbusters. Like they were literally wearing like onesies and had like semi-proton packs, and they drove around an old hearse.
Yeah, the hearse they showed, so that's still in. That's why I was like, they busted out of a building, right? And the hearse goes on the street, and the siren makes like a noise similar to the Ecto 1 siren. So I'm like, this looks like Ghostbusters, and they fight other monsters with these weapons. So I'm like, oh, okay, so it's like
Yokai Watch
Ghostbusters.
is like a Sega game, isn't it?
I don't know if it's level 5. It's not Sega. It might be level 5.
Did it look fun?
It looks funny. It looks cute. It's like the monsters from Yokai Watch dressed up like Ghostbusters, busting other uglier monsters. I don't know. It was interesting. I mean, could be fun. Could be good for kids. If your kids like Yokai Watch, which is a very Pokemon-esque game, then they might like that. And it's a spin-off game though. It doesn't play like the regular Yokai Watch games. There was Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn, which is a port of the Epic Yarn game for the Wii, with some more content in it. So that's coming out for 3DS. There's a enhanced version of Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story called Mario and Luigi's Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr. Story Journey. Excuse me.
Which they did show that, I think, at E3. I think
they probably showed a little video of it. They showed more of it now. It's the same game as Bowser's Inside Story if you play that on the DS. And then this extra part with a side story with Bowser Jr. that you could play separately. So that's that. If you're into that, they showed more of The World Ends With You Final Remix. Again, that's a port of The World Ends With You that was ported up from the DS to iOS for mobile and now ported to the Switch.
Yeah. So it's an old game on an old game on an old game.
Yeah, it's a it's a very old game because the original one was on DS. So, but yeah, they showed that. And they showed a bunch of Square stuff. So they had Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition, which I'm assuming is a mobile version of Final Fantasy 15 port.
Yeah, it came out for mobile, which was just like a kind of like the super deformed version of Final Fantasy, the last Final Fantasy.
Yeah, the Switch is getting Well, I laughed when I saw this. They're getting a combo with Final Fantasy 7, 9, 10, and 10-2. You notice what's missing from that?
Oh, and 12 is in there too.
And 12 is in there, but you notice what I didn't add in there. There ain't no 8 in that. It went from 7 right to 9. They just skipped that like it didn't even happen. So, and I laughed when I saw that because I'm like, they didn't even bother.
Yeah, I have a theory about that because remember 7 and 9 were recently re-released on PS4, right? 8 has not been released, so my theory is that they went the cheap route. But I want to believe they're just like, nah, man, that game's trash. Forget it.
That's what I thought. I'm like, oh, even they know it. They didn't even want that shit. So I laughed at that. That was funny. They're getting a port of Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, which I believe was GameCube. So they're getting a port of that. That looks cute. So that might be good for people. That's old school RPG. So that might be good. I'll put that in my good slot. And Final Fantasy 7, 9, 10, and 10-2 are good games. So those go in my good slot. The other stuff, I don't care about Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition. You can play Final Fantasy 15 Big Boy Edition on all the consoles.
On everything else.
Yeah. For everything else. So you got that. And there's a Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon, which I had no idea. It just looked weird to me. That's some kind of spin-off.
What is up with this new world of Final Fantasy? Is it like a new one or is it like an add-on? What's going on there?
New world of Final Fantasy. You know what that game is, right?
No, I know what that is, but I'm like, is it an add-on to the game I already own, or is it a brand new game? Because it's coming to PS4 as well. You know?
Yeah, I don't know if it's new or not. Like they weren't clear on that. They kind of shotgunned some of the Square stuff. They shotgunned that one, and the Final Fantasy 7. 9, 10, and 10-2, they shotgun. They showed 12. They showed Pocket Edition. They showed Crystal Chronicles a lot. And they showed Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon. That one kind of passed by fast, so I wasn't clear. And if it's a new one or if it's just an add-on to the original world of Final Fantasy, I'm not sure.
Yeah. By the way, those Final Fantasy games are coming to PS4 and Xbox. Just get that out there. But I do have to say, this is the most Square games that any Nintendo system has ever gotten. Not even close, right, guys? Oh man. Anyway, you go on.
They're getting a port of Super Mario Brothers U, that was on the Wii U, so there's a port of that. It's deluxe, so it has extra characters and it has the new Super Luigi U in it or something like that. So you get that. So if you hadn't played it you missed it on the Wii U, it's coming out.
So you should call it Super Mario Me.
Me?
I don't know, because it was for you. Now it's for me, right?
So here's the thing. So they talked a little bit more about Switch Online. So enjoy your free multiplayer while it lasts, because it's gonna get locked down pretty soon, September 18th. So when it's what are we, a week or so away from that? Yeah. Then fun time's over, and you got to pay up if you want to keep playing like Splatoon and all that, and Mario Kart Online. You got to pay up now. So that goes behind the paywall. I love how the fancy way they put that you're gonna pay for that now without saying like, "Hey, that's going behind the paywall," but that's essentially what's happening. You're gonna get some access to some NES games. They showed some logos. They were like, "Oh yeah, Super Mario Bros. 3 is all done," and I think Pro Wrestling Ice Hockey. They added some more stuff besides Balloon Fight, which I was like,
Pro
"Please
Wrestling Ice Hockey? Is that what you just said?
yeah, they got those on there."
Pro Wrestling and Ice Hockey.
Oh, I was gonna say. I was like, shit, they're together.
No, and so they made these special wireless NES controllers. And they're
Yeah.
a two-pack of them are $60. And so the weird thing about these controllers is you can only buy them through the online service, and they can only be charged by connecting them to the Switch. So let's go into the first one. I've never heard of anyone locking the purchase of physical hardware behind their subscription service. Like that's imagine like Xbox went, no, you need gold if you want to buy the Elite controller, or PlayStation going like, oh, we have these special edition DualShock 4s, but you have to have PS Plus, or you have to be subscribed to PlayStation Now, right? That would be crazy if anyone did that. Well, Nintendo did it, and I'm sure they're getting tons of praise for that shit. But in the sane reality we live in, that's kind of dumb.
Yeah, by the way, I said this on Twitter. I'm going to say it now, right? Don't buy these controllers. Go to 8BitDo site and buy them for $14 each. There you go.
Yeah,
save yourself some money.
They got nice. Yeah, those guys make good nostalgic controllers. They're wireless, the same way they can connect. So, yeah, just do that and save yourself some money. And also, if you don't want their online service, you don't really have a choice, right? So there you go.
Man, I'm telling you. By the way, Amazon right now has it's like a combo pack. You get two 8BitDo, I don't know if it's 8BitDo or 8BitDo. I always say 8BitDo. So two 8BitDo controllers, the NES ones, and a nice case for both of them for $40. So you get more for less. You know,
Yeah.
Come on, man. Some bullshit. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. So okay. So they talked more about the Yoshi game. I'll put that in my good slot. Yoshi's Crafted World is supposed to be a sequel to Yoshi's Woolly World, so that's coming out next year, I think in the spring. And it looks good. It looks like a good competent platformer. It's probably hard, so that should be fun. I didn't really care about. They showed that their Smash Brothers is also getting a custom edition of the Switch with the fighters on the dock. Although if you squint, it kind of looks like clouds because they're all bunched together on the dock, and you can't really. They're all like crammed together, so you can't really tell what's happening. And then I was like, if you squint, it just looks like storm clouds rolling in on your dock, so it looks weird. And they put the Smash Bros. Logo across the two Joy-Cons, which doesn't look right unless you put them together. So that was weird. But anyway, that's a thing they're doing. Did I cover everything? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Did they say anything about themes or anything coming to the dashboard?
No,
like any changes to the interface? Because it's so bland.
I don't remember them mentioning anything about themes for the Switch. It was
what, you don't like the elevator music that plays in the background?
Yeah, I don't think they mentioned anything about that.
Well, you can only get that music if you're in the store. You don't get that like when you turn it on. That's how it. They should do something. Damn.
So like it's like that Mario Paint music. Burp, 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 burp. Right?
So yeah, so what I thought was really good, and what I would put my money to, I like that Starlink game. I'll give it up to Ubisoft. That's probably the best looking Star Fox game you're gonna get for Nintendo, and it didn't come from them, so that's hilarious. The Capcom beat 'em up bundle, but I'd buy that on PS4. I'm getting that game. I'm happy for that game. I'm just not getting it on there. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. Obviously, my wife and I will enjoy that. The Town game looks good. Game Freak making an original game. I will actually play that. I would actually buy that. So that looked good. And Luigi's Mansion 3, because I'm a glutton for punishment, I'll probably get that.
What if that Town game is actually just Earthbound 4?
Well, the weird thing, it had a medieval theme, so I don't think it's Earthbound. Wait, they didn't make the original Earthbound, did they?
No,
they didn't make the other one. If it is
give them
Earthbound,
something.
yeah. If it is related to Earthbound, that would be also cool, because what I saw looked good. Like, that could only be a bonus, right? If it's related to Earthbound in some way. I don't think that would detract from it at all.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, what do the rest of you guys think? Brett, I want your thoughts on Nintendo's latest Direct here.
I think it's Nintendo pulling a bunch of Nintendo shenanigans, especially with the hardware bullshit. But meh.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I was more positive about this Direct than Brett was. What?
Yeah, no, I mean it's not like
are you?
I'm still excited about some of the stuff that they're coming out with. It's just nothing in this really spoke to me, I guess.
Like I said, there's no heavy hitters. Like, that's the problem. They're throwing a lot at the wall, because this cannot be they can't have a Breath of the Wild or a Odyssey. They blew that load last year, right? They ain't got that. They got to store it up. So they're just throwing a lot of stuff out there. So they made a lot. They made a lot of deals. I'm surprised though. This kind of lacked indie stuff. There was this company called Asmodee or something that was making like these tabletop conversions for Switch, and they talked about that they're going to make a Settlers of Catan game, which I got interested in that, but that was a logo. So I can't say nothing about that. That's why I didn't even mention it. That was a logo. Whoever mentioned it, Asmodee showed a lot of logos, so that wasn't real to me.
You're like, man, that shit don't count.
Show me shit.
Yeah, I don't know. The only games in here that I'm excited for are already coming to PS4, so I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like,
the only game that I'm interested is the Pokemon game, but that, I mean, we've seen that, so it's like,
sure.
Did they even mention Brawl at all? I mean, Brawl Smash.
Yeah, they added that Animal Crossing chick, Isabelle. She's a new fighter. So that was pretty much the Brawl news. It was her added, and the custom Switch that's coming out with the Brawl art on the dock and the Joy-Cons.
Gotcha.
Oh, and there's a GameCube controller. They're gonna start, of course, manufacturing GameCube controllers with a dongle that's USB to the original GameCube port, which means you can, if you have GameCube controllers, you can use them on your Switch.
I wonder if you can use the same one from the Wii U, because I bought that one. The one from
it should work because it's a GameCube port, and it goes from GameCube to USB. It's a converter.
Got it.
So how, is the only way that you can get the converter just by buying the stupid GameCube controller they've remade?
Yeah, but if it's anything like last time, you're gonna have hell finding that. They did the Wii U one, excuse me, the Wii U one was like impossible to get that shit. They better they better have their manufacturing sorted, because I guarantee that shit will sell out.
Yeah. By the way, Lewis here brings up a good point. He's like, Nintendo fans bought a bunch of cardboard. They're gonna buy these stupid controllers.
Yeah, but that Labo thing did not do that well.
No, it did actually. Nintendo fans, man. You know, this is what I'm saying. This is why I don't make predictions or like estimates or whatever about anything Nintendo anymore. It's proved that I do not understand the mentality of Nintendo fans. I don't get it. Anything I say, it will be wrong. So I just don't even bother anymore.
I feel like Nintendo at this point is kind of like people that are fans of Macintosh computers. Where
Oh
it's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. They
anything-
are like
anything,
Apple
anything
fans, yeah.
anything that Apple makes is the first time that anybody's ever seen it.
Oh yeah, I swear.
Yeah.
there's-
Although I did, the irony of that Final Fantasy VII is on a Nintendo system now did not escape me.
Yes.
You're right.
That is pretty interesting.
Well, 12 was it 7, 7, 9, 10, and 12?
Well, it wasn't it on the N64. They just never actually released
No,
it.
they
No, never.
started a prototype, but it never was. It wasn't even the same game.
Yeah, you can't fit that game in a cartridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, they can now.
Yeah, right.
How much are they charging for that thing? $60?
Probably.
Yeah, they didn't mention a price, but it'd probably be 60.
Man, they're squeezing a lot out of that one.
That
How many?
Switch tax, man.
How many? If you bought all those games together, 7, 9, 10, 10, 2, and
12.
and 12.
Ooh, let me check Steam.
Yeah, that's
How
what I'm
much
saying. Go
did-
on
yeah.
Steam. Yeah,
If you bought all those games together, how much would that cost?
$20 probably.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Depending on how good the Steam sales are that
So
week.
so Nintendo and Square are making out like bandits, charging almost full price for
Well,
that.
yeah,
Pretty
they're
much
gonna
full
put
price for
the
that.
they're gonna put the quote unquote Nintendo tax on this. You already know.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know there's gonna be a $60 cartridge. Actually, what's probably gonna happen, right? I bet all the games won't even be on the cartridge. Most of them you're gonna have to download.
They could pull what
Well-
they were going to do with. Oh, okay.
Excuse
So
me?
breaking news. So Final Fantasy VII on Steam is $12. Final Fantasy IX is $21. Final Fantasy X, where the hell is that?
That's already too much money for these games, bro.
Yeah, I was about to say this.
The
It's even
fuck?
expensive on Steam, and
Yeah.
that should surprise you. Well, but I mean, they have those deals, so like people can always get those. But yeah, they're pretty damn expensive.
Yeah, that's weird.
She
Wait
came
for a
out like
sale.
20 years ago.
Yeah, right? Come on, man. Hashling and Slasher says he thinks it's because Nintendo guys live in their own world. He goes, I used to be a Wii U fanboy. That's embarrassing to say. Hey, man, it's all good.
Hey man, if you like the console,
Carlos liked the
people
Wii U,
like the Wii. A
Yo.
lot of folks like the Wii U.
The Wii U, the only problem with the Wii U was number one, the controller, number two, the name, and three was the fact that no one else played the Wii U other than like a handful of people. Because
You belong to a special club.
It was just you and Hashling and Slasher playing this
it was
shit.
just me and you, man. Like everyone now these games are like the plethora of Wii U games are getting ported to the Switch, and they're like people are losing their minds. Like
It's like new games.
It's-
Oh my god!
Again, I don't.
Because
This is
nobody
what
plays
I'm saying about. I don't understand the mentality of Nintendo fans.
Well, Tony, remember we talked about last time? It's like, like this indie game came out like 5 years ago, but it's coming out on the Switch, so people are hyped about it. It's the same shit with Wii U.
Yeah, I know. It's like, yo, it was on Wii U. Why weren't you hyped back then?
It's like
Very interesting.
It's like, man, I have never seen a game like this ever.
And you pull out the box, like, it came out on a
What's
Nintendo
that?
system.
What's a Wii U?
Just wait. Just fucking wait. When Mario Maker gets announced, people are gonna fucking explode.
Yeah, they are. They're
I
gonna
mean,
go nuts.
just wait now for the holiday season. Like this is what we're talking about off air. It's just look at all the big titles that are coming out. Like with the Assassin's Creed one, with the Call of Duty, the Battlefield, the Red Dead, all this stuff. None of it's coming to Switch. That's the thing I don't get. I understand the hype for whatever they are getting, the little sprinkles, but they're not getting the meat and potato. You know what I mean?
They
Yo,
got
man, you
LA
getting
Noire.
some ice cream and
LA
shit. Yo, can I get some
Noire,
sprinkles?
The game that came out in like 2014. Come on, man.
Well, Chris mentioned earlier they blew their load in the first year, and we even mentioned this at like prediction shows of late last year. Where like Nintendo like spent a lot of their big hitters, their main big hitters in the first like couple of months, and they're kind of running dry right now. They've been running dry. They haven't released like anything super relevant like all year. They're gonna have to wait till fucking Smash.
Yo, by the way, Hussein, I love you, man, but I'm gonna have to be an asshole right now. He goes, I want the Wind Whacker on HD on Switch. Yeah, dude, get rid of the
and the sequel, Weed Whacker.
Yeah, It's interesting, man. Gamers are interesting. Especially Nintendo gamers. Are these guys gonna be? Imagine if the NBA game sells better on Switch. Yo, this is the hottest shit ever.
It's not the first time. It's not the first time. I have the NBA one, and it was okay. And it was all right, but it didn't do it for me. But it was still fun. I still enjoyed it. It's fun to take sport games on the go.
It's fun. It's not fun.
Yo, Hash, man, he says he just got a GTX 1080, man. That shit's played out, man. I had that shit for like 2 years already, man. Where's the TI, son? I thought you was all about that PC gaming life, you know?
But
that shit is played out, son.
You need a 2080 Ti now.
Yeah, get that shit, you know?
Well, yeah, but you need to get a mortgage to get that.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah. Go get an auto loan to buy your video card, man.
Yo, Hash, how much you pay for that shit, bro? I paid $700 for my shit. This PC gaming is very affordable, you know?
Yeah, I know, right?
Fuck. All right, man, let's move on here.
In some places, that's actually, you just paid for a full computer.
Pretty much. All right, so let's talk about some Sony shit, man. The shit people really want to talk about.
I like to say one thing about this. I was not expecting as many new titles as they showed in that thing.
You know You know what I wasn't expecting? I wasn't expecting this thing to premiere 2 weeks before TGS.
Yeah, that's also another nutty thing. It's like, okay, they just wanted to get all this stuff out of the way.
You know, anyway, so let me run this thing down.
What's up, everybody? I'm Damon Hatfield.
Oh, God damn it. Hold on. Damon Hatfield is messing up. Sorry about that. Because people can hear that, too. Okay, fucking IGN. So, they showed a Kingdom Hearts VR experience. I don't know what the fuck that is.
It's essentially an add-on to the previously made Kingdom Hearts games, where now you can kind of move your head around and look at the sequences.
Yay!
You know, that seems to be the thing. You know, putting VR on old PlayStation 2 games.
Yeah, right. All right, so you got that. I'm going to save it the best for last. We got Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, like Chris mentioned. That's coming. It says unnamed Studio Estolia game. So Studio Estolia, I don't know who the hell that is. Has been set up by longtime Tales of series Hideo Baba. Okay, so it's a Tales of kind of game. This Unreal Engine powered game looks to be a cell shaded medieval fantasy game made in conjunction with Square Enix, but we don't know anything more for that. Okay, I'll keep an eye on that. You know, so pretty much Tales of and Square Enix. I'll check that out.
Yeah, it looked nice. It looked nice and cartoony.
Yeah, Everybody's Golf VR, Manny. There's another one. You know,
that's a VR. Yeah, they had a whole section devoted to VR.
Yeah, Dog Fighter World War II. Who gives a shit? You know.
Actually, you know what's actually kind of looked cool, where it's like it's kind of an arc. It's a dogfighting game, but it's kind of like a Japanese version of that, where it's like actiony. And they're like playing heavy metal and shit on top of it. Oh, okay.
I thought it was like a stupid like plane game.
It is a plane game, but it's like super arcadey.
Oh, okay, that could be cool then.
Yeah.
You know, they're bringing Gungrave back.
Yeah, Gungrave. Gungrave. It looks like it's a new character now. He doesn't look like the same guy anymore.
Yeah.
By the way, the creator of Gungrave, the designer of Gungrave, was the same designer behind Trigun. Yeah,
that's right.
That's right.
I don't see it listed here, but there was this other game that had like this dude fighting this like I was gonna say four-legged dragon, but that's the best way I can describe it. It's like a dragon without wings.
Yeah, that was the first one. It was called Project something or other.
Yeah,
The first thing that they showed. It almost looked like Monster Hunter Bloodborne. You know,
interesting.
It was kind of it sounded like it was just this, like a weird sort of early thing that they were going to show, but it looked cool. It was a knight fighting some dragon dog thing.
Yeah, man, and you know, deep down, right? Who knows?
Yeah,
that's what I was like, deep down, man. You know, all right. Here's the numbers to get to the good stuff. Samurai Showdown. We got a new Samurai Showdown coming. This is like brand new. You know, and I like how kind of like Street Fighter 4 has that calligraphy going on with the art, but this really went ham with the calligraphy. You know, so it looks really nice.
Like a lot of it looks like old Japanese sume paintings and stuff like that. They're kind of going with a little bit.
Yeah, no, whoever wrote this, no, it's not heavily. It looks like it's heavily based on Street Fighter 5. So like, no, it looks like Street Fighter 4, not Street Fighter 5. Jesus, man.
Whoops.
You know, and here's the one. I lost my motherfucking mind when I saw this. But back it up a little bit. So they were showing a new trailer for a new Yakuza team game, right?
Mhm.
And the first trailer, Mike, I'm like, what the fuck is this? It was some, detective stuff. I'm like, what is this? Then I saw the action trailer. I lost my fucking mind. It looks like Yakuza on crack, and Yakuza is already Shenmue on crack. So you can imagine that, like basically you're playing a detective, but it's set in the same world as Yakuza. The guy is way more maneuverable than Kiryu. He's doing all these crazy ass moves. So it's kind of just like Yakuza, but you're playing on the side of the law this time around.
Wow.
It looks fucking crazy. It's called Project Judge right now, which means it's probably going to get a name change when it comes here, right? But I'm ready for it. And just like Yakuza, you get a bunch of crazy ass side missions, deep story in there. The graphics look crazy. Pretty sure it's running on the Dragon engine. Give me this fucking. I saw that trailer like 5 times. I was like, give me this shit, right now, And I think it get by the same Yakuza team, the same dude, By the way, I always find it funny that
You guys are chugging in games like crazy.
yeah, it's crazy. By the way, I always find it funny that the guy who runs the Yakuza franchise looks like a fucking Yakuza. You ever see
He
this guy?
kind of turned himself into that. Like if you ever see old shots of him, he kind of looked like a normal person. He kind of got a shitload of plastic surgery and stuff.
Like this guy looks like a criminal mastermind. It's hilarious. No, there's absolutely no chance in hell Spider-Man's getting a PC port, bro. And why would you want to play at 144 FPS anyway? Actually, no. I read that wrong. I was like, why would you want to play it at 140, HD? FPS, that would be crazy, but, it is what it is. Actually, Hashling, not to derail it, I guarantee you, this game's going to be playable on PS5 at 60 frames a second, son. I guarantee you that. Sony's probably going to be slick about it. Yeah, you can play your old version on this or play Spider-Man HD for PS5. Watch that shit happen. Motherfuckers will buy it too, Anyway, what would you guys think about this Tokyo Game Show pre-show?
It's pretty interesting. I wasn't expecting.
It's pre-interesting?
It's pre-interesting. So, you also forgot one more thing that was.
I didn't forget nothing. I'm just reading whatever this shit has.
Those idiots forgot Left Alive by Square Enix. That's the Yoji Shinkawa game / Armored Core game. The guy who directed Armored Core.
All right, tell us about that. What did the new trailer show?
The new trailer just showed a little bit more cinematics and stuff. The last time it just showed like a hallway and just some explosions. This one actually shows a little bit of story stuff, and they just show the graphics and stuff like that, So looks interesting. Don't know exactly what it is yet, but let's see what it is.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yoji Shinkawa not doing a Kojima game.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Let that sink in for a second.
Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing if they were willing to show these titles this early out from TGS, like almost 2 weeks before, then what are they going to show at TGS, man?
That's a good point.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah. This could potentially be a really hot TGS.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I know Riku's waiting, man. To him, TGS is E3,
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm really hyped for that Yakuza game. Fuck, it's a Yakuza game.
But again, it's like you remember last year's TGS, right, for Sony and a couple. There wasn't really anything that was mentioned that we didn't know was happening. This was for the most part, a bunch of new titles. They literally had the Yakuza director come out and talk about that game. The one that I can't remember the name of that game. So who knows? Are they going to be doing? Here's the other thing: is Sony going to be doing that sort of keynote press conference thing, or is this what it is?
I don't get it, man. Oh, by the way, what's going on, Subgate? He mentioned all the games we mentioned and Ace Combat 7. Can someone please explain to me the appeal of these games? Like people get hyped as hell for Ace Combat. Apparently the story's really good. I'm like, but isn't Ace Combat essentially just like fucking Top Gun? Top Gun, the video game or something?
So what's wrong with that?
No, nothing's wrong. I'm asking you, what is the big deal about these games?
That's it. People like the dogfights and stuff.
I mean, here's the thing, dude. Like, how many playing games do you know that exist right now?
Oh, so
Ace Combat.
Yeah. So maybe that's what it is, though. It's like since that's the only.
I think it's hitting a market that just exists that's not being hit. Namco's the only guys that are continue to be making Ace Combat games.
That is a very good explanation, actually. Because you're right. It's not. Yeah. Name 3 other big time. Whatever the fuck kind of games these are. They don't exist. You know.
I mean, there are other games that have like Grand Theft Auto that have flying elements in them, but there's not really any games that just focus solely on, flying around cool jets.
Yeah. We don't have.
And there was literally 2 games that were mentioned that had you flying around in some sort of vehicle.
Yeah, we don't have Afterburner, man. Bring that shit back. I
mean, I feel like for a lot of people, Ace Combat is kind of like grown up Afterburner.
Okay, that actually perfectly explains it. It's like filling that void.
And to be honest, I don't think it takes a lot of money to make one of those Ace Combat games. Seriously.
Yeah, that's true. Did they show Sekiro? I don't think they showed that at TGS. Oh, I could be wrong though. Did they show that at?
No, I didn't. I don't remember seeing any Sekiro.
Yeah,
but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Anybody else want to jump in on any thoughts? Go ahead, Brian.
Sure. I do remember seeing like a trailer for it around the same time.
Here's the thing.
Maybe they did. Maybe they did. I don't know.
They might have, but I probably blocked it out because I just feel like it was more of the same thing. It might have been in the sizzle video. I can't remember.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There you go. Thank you, guys. Yeah, they did have one. Guys. You know me. I don't care about that game. Okay. Good.
You play a ninja. You don't like ninjas?
I like ninjas, but I thought it was another samurai game.
They also announced a new Dead or Alive game.
I thought they already announced that.
I saw that. I don't know. That's the first time I saw it.
Yeah, they announced it. And I remember the producer was talking about how they're not going to have jiggly titties anymore.
Are you sure that was that game, or are you sure that wasn't the other one?
No, for the main Dead or Alive series.
All right.
That's what the producer says. Like, yeah, we can't do that anymore. All right.
He probably just means but not in the West.
That's how you know what's his face Itagaki's not in charge. you know?
Yeah, he wouldn't care.
Whatever Itagaki is doing, he's probably in a cave somewhere.
Speaking about guys that look like they belong in the Yakuza,
he looks like a washed up rock star, like a used rock star.
Yeah, that is true. Subgator says, was the Gungrave character a woman? Maybe.
I couldn't tell. It just looked like I just saw a big jacket.
Yeah, I don't know. I played that game. I remember I had a review because they put out Gungrave for the PS2 on PS3, right? They released it, and I had a review for STF and Play. Game. It was terrible. It was horrible. So I'm definitely not looking forward to this one. You
don't like the grave.
The grave. Like I'd be interested to see the anime, but that game was garbage. The
anime wasn't that good either.
Oh God, forget it then. What the hell's the point then?
I tried watching it.
Yep.
Ain't no Trigun, I'll tell you that.
Oh God.
No, that character you could totally see in Trigun.
Yeah, as a bad guy.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, I threw this in here just for Brian. This next story because sales. And by the way, this story I'm pulling up is from our friend Robert Workman.
Mr. Workman.
So yeah, we don't have any of these for America yet, but apparently Spider-Man's doing gangbusters in the UK. It like outsold God of War. But the funny thing is they don't tell us by how much. It's just it sold really well in the UK. It sold really well in Japan. It sold, was it 125,000 in the first week, which is apparently pretty good for them.
It beat God of War.
Yeah, it did. In all these things, it beat God of War, which is not surprising. Let's just be honest. It's Spider-Man.
It's Spider-Man. Come on.
Kratos has been around what, like 15 years or something. Spider-Man's been around since the 60s.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, and then the other thing is Spider-Man is like fresh in people's mind. They just had him, turn to dust.
Yeah, exactly, man. So the other reason, so Brian, what do you think about all this, man?
Well, it is Spider-Man. It's like one of the top tier Marvel characters. so it's not really hard to see it happening. I yeah, I do like how like people just love to say, oh yeah, it did better. Like how much better? Like numbers better? Like was it like a small amount? Was it a large amount? We don't know. So it really does annoy me when people just say, yeah, it did better. It's like, yeah, but by what margin? Like simply just saying that it did better isn't really saying anything. It's just like, yeah, selling one more copy is still technically speaking better than so is selling like 10 times as many copies. Like without knowing the exact amount, it's kind of hard to really judge. So to me, they things they say that it did as best as it did, and then it's like unless you give me like the numbers and figures, then it's just meaningless to me. But at the same time, it it is selling, so that's good. It means that the Pearl Gate wasn't as serious as some people thought it was. So that's a plus. It means that the internet drama is not really leading into real life like that, which is always a good sign. But at the same time, I generally don't care. I seen some of the gameplay. I'm just like, I'll pick it up next year. They want to announce the DLC before the game's out. It's like, cool, go fuck yourselves. Like any game that announces DLC before the games come out, they can go and fuck themselves. I said the same thing when Batman Arkham Asylum, no, City did it, where that they had the announcement trailer and then they had like their DLC like at the end of the announcement trailer. I'm like, nope, go fuck yourself. So yeah.
This is interesting. Hussein says that Detroit sold better in Japan than God of War did.
Yeah, they kind of. I watch quite a bit of Japanese illustrators and stuff like that. They're kind of obsessed with the main with the robot cop character.
Oh, interesting. Why is that?
I don't know. He kind of looks a little like effeminate. Maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
but the actor that plays him looks exactly like that too.
He kind of looks like a little like semi-androgynous. It seems a lot of Japanese tend to like that sort of look.
I guess Tilda Swinton must be popular over there.
Well, I'm sure she is.
Oh, maybe there's a thing about
Mads Mikkelsen. He kind of looks a little bit, effeminate too.
Yeah, Brian, what were you saying?
Oh, maybe people just like robot cops. I don't know why. Like, why would people like a robot cop?
Some kind of robo cop.
Yeah, if you wish. Yeah.
In Detroit.
I have a comment to say, but I'll save it for off air.
They should make a statue of him in Detroit.
People be like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Put him next to RoboCop.
Yeah, Connor. Yeah, but people seem to like him in general, even over here, which is interesting because like he's just a bland white robot, But hey. That's what people like. People like that, It's interesting. So yeah, I'm guessing we're gonna see Spider-Man's like North American sales maybe tomorrow because it's a week afterwards, Because I'm assuming Sony's gonna want to boast. This game probably sold millions, But yeah,
when do MPDs get announced?
Excuse me. When the fuck is it? I think Matt Piscatella said the 18th. When the fuck is the 18th? See, they keep changing the NPD. They used to be on Thursdays. Now it's on Tuesday.
Yeah, so I thought it was today.
It's whenever they can put the numbers together and add them.
Yeah. No, it's like they'll be like Thursday, and then they'll stay on Thursday for a while. Now it's Tuesday, and they're going to stick on that for a while until they decide, hey, it's Friday now. Please don't do NPDs on Friday. They'll fuck the whole show up. Don't do that.
Yeah, right.
It's like, game releases on Fridays already fucking us up. Remember back in the day, man, games used to come out on Tuesday?
I am not annoyed that games are coming out on different days than fucking Tuesday.
No, I am because we can't talk about them on Throwdown on Thursday.
Yeah, we can't talk about it. We can't talk about it, but who gives a shit about that?
I do.
It's really about when you got the time to play it, man. Fuck that. If it was if we had that shit like years ago, that'd be so awesome.
Yeah, Manny, I think you're missing the point here. For the purposes of the show, it's kind of bad. I've been saying games should be coming out on Friday for years, but our show's on Thursday, so we can't talk about the newest games on that week because then the next week is already played out. You know
why the game industry moved away from Friday or avoided Friday?
Why is that?
Movie release dates. That's when people figure they go out to the movies and hang out. So they're like, why are they going to want to buy a game and go home?
Nowadays,
it makes more sense to release them on Friday.
Tuesday's ship day. That's the day that when everything would come in from different studios, coming from music to DVDs to video games. Videotapes. You always used to come out on Tuesday because that's when they were delivered.
Comic Days is Wednesday.
Comic Days Wednesday. Again, that's just the delivery day. Usually, actually, the delivery day is on Tuesday as well.
Blu-rays and DVDs was Wednesday and Tuesday. Tuesday and Wednesday.
Mostly Tuesday.
Music used to be whenever, I think. No, they
always do it. They always did it on Tuesdays.
Yeah,
well.
it used to be
They're
Tuesday.
They're doing it on Fridays.
They do it on Fridays now too. Yeah, which is weird.
Now Eminem just throws it at you at like 12 a.m. in the morning.
Actually, most artists do that now. Like midnight, that shit is there.
Well, actually, Eminem dropped his thing like when we were on Throwdown, like at the after show. So I think it was a Friday.
Yeah, it was a Friday, exactly. It's interesting, man. All right, sticking with Spider-Man news. This is kind of stupid. Had to bring it up because fans wanted us to talk about this. The fake, and I'm going to call it that, it's fake outrage over Spider-Man, the game, being too friendly to cops. Kind of interesting how 3 articles from 3 different websites all came out saying the same shit, saying that Spider-Man in the game is too friendly with the cops. He's basically a narc. It's
Dude,
like,
I thought that was really weird.
What?
All these articles all of a sudden.
Yeah, okay,
yeah. That's a very weird and small angle to be viewing that from, and yet all of a sudden, everybody's talking about it.
I don't think everybody's talking about it. I only think that video game websites are talking about it. Seriously.
No, but the point is, like, all these video game websites just suddenly in the same week decided to talk about this. And Brett, that's a good point. Small thing. Because it's like, what, do you want the game to actually talk about some of the real life fucked up shit the police do? They're not going to do this. It's a video game. It's a Spider-Man video game on top of that,
Yeah. Not even that. Okay, first of all, what do you expect? Like a big publisher to come out with a fuck the police mentality? No, they broke it down into packages, and I'm not going to give a spoiler here, but there is another sect of law enforcement that comes in that kind of represents the bad aspects of law enforcement. So they're still, even paying homage or, the whole making a nod towards how fucked up and how wrong stop and frisk is. They're just not necessarily pinning that directly on the NYPD, especially the fictional NYPD of a fictional universe. And oh, by the way, even these fictional NYPD, they're still assholes. They're still assholes to Spider-Man.
They make comments. Yeah, we don't need you here.
It's not even that, this is not a spoiler because it happens literally 10 minutes into the game, probably even less than that, right? Because, okay, the articles are saying, all the new NYPD are infallible. They're angels. Really, because in the first 10 minutes, there are cops that were paid off by Fisk attacking Spider-Man. So it's you didn't even play the game, So it's bullshit. But I just find it funny how all these sites are all the same thing. It's like, I'm just gonna say it. I really would not want to hang out with these people. Like, you can't be fun if this is what you're playing a game. This is what's popping up. I played this fun game that never even came to my mind.
You want to know what this really is. This has nothing to do with anything. This has to do with getting people to click on something. That is what this all has to do with. What is the hot shit right now? Everybody's talking about Spider-Man. What is the next thing that people will talk about? Controversies with the Spider-Man game.
Yeah, but they're making up controversies. It's like these idiots who are writing about this want to see that shit.
Yeah, they're all just grasping at straws because they have absolutely nothing to say.
I'm sorry, but this is my problem with quote-unquote game journalists in big publications. You are not gamers, all right? You're supposed to have fun. You're in a fictional world that you're a superhero and you cooperate with the police and whatever. They're fictional cops. It's a fictional world. We're having fun. You ever heard of fun? No, because you guys decided to be the fun police and just spit on everything that everyone else enjoys because you don't enjoy it. You know why you don't enjoy it? Because you're not gamers.
But you don't have to do. This is the thing I'm not understanding. Like, for a lot of it, at least, like, here's the deal. When I'm swinging around the city as Spider-Man and I hear somebody like them radioing like a narcotics sale in progress, the first thing I think to myself is like, dude, Spider-Man's not going to jump in on a couple of stoners and beat the shit out of them. That's not Spider-Man style. Spider-Man has bigger things to worry about. And so you know what I do? I swing on because it doesn't fit my personal narrative. Spider-Man's there to fight fucking crime. Like, I'm not saying that, like, the guy, buying an 8-ball in the corner is the greatest thing, but it's come on, in the stack of things that are worrying in your neighborhood when people are getting shot and mugged, just doesn't seem to be like the kind of shit that Spider-Man is going to deal with. Like, that seems the kind of shit best left to the cops. He doesn't need to be in there every time somebody's trying to buy booze with a fake ID. So, like, if I'm swinging along and I hear that shit, I'm like, nah, swing on to your next spot. Don't let it bother me. Like, you don't have to stop and help the cops if you don't want to. You just be like, too busy being Spider-Man. You don't have to do any of this. The only thing you have to do is work with with a certain agent, in which basically you're just calling them to be like, hey, I did this thing, come pick these guys up. Which is classic Spider-Man thing, leaving bad guys tied up in big balls of webbing.
Yeah.
And what usually happens when Spider-Man finishes these guys off, he's like, "Oh man, I better split before the cops get here. They don't like me." He always says that, you know.
Yeah,
and to Brett's point, like the same thing came up with like GTA back in the day when GTA 3 came out. They're like, "Oh my God, this was the mainstream news. You could kill prostitutes and beat them to death, do all this stuff." It's like, or you could not do that. The game gives you the option not to go out and beat people to death and rob them. You know, it's like they always write about the worst aspects of things.
It's a murder simulator.
You know,
exactly.
There's a really, if I can go off on a mild side tangent real quick here, I was reading something about that. Somebody was writing an article and making a point about Dishonored and how people don't like the ethics system in Dishonored due to the chaos system. And they actually brought up a really good point in that essentially in every power struggle, you have the idea of the other, this outsider, the one trying to convince you to do bad things. And they've kind of represented this in karma systems and other things like that through various video games. But it's always like, oh, do you want to kick a puppy for a cybernetic blaster arm, or do you want to actually be a human being? It doesn't actually tempt you in a real way. The real test right here is whether or not you choose to engage in an activity. So if you choose to engage in an activity where you are essentially, working for the police, then that's something you've chosen to do. And that is actually a better real life representation of the call of the other. The idea, they brought up Prototype 2, like, a lot of the best powers in Prototype 2 were, the deathly, the fatal ones, the one that just murdered a bunch of people. Because, the draw of power is a siren song, and that's adequately represented throughout the game. Where I get my problem is when people just kind of assume, well, just because it's in the game means I need to do it. Like, really? Like, that's the kind of like saying, like, well, the candy bar was on the shelf, so I had to steal it. Like, no, motherfucker, you didn't. That is literally the point of making choices. And if you're just gonna bitch whenever we give you choices in video games because you might suffer repercussions and not necessarily get the accolades and the special little trophy that you want, God forbid you find out through self-reflection and choices in video games that maybe you're not the best person and you ought to work at that. But no, they want it very clearly defined that all you have to do is very slightly hold back from doing this terrible thing. You don't really have to make any personal sacrifice, and suddenly you get to feel good at yourself because you're showered with good boy points and brownie points because you've done the right thing and you're morally upstanding and you're better than the average person. Whereas you have a real life situation like this where, look, there's an activity in the game that if you don't agree with, you can choose to walk away from it. And they're like, oh, no, this is exactly what they're talking about. If you don't like it, walk away. If you can't walk away because somebody's telling you to do something and you do something and you don't like the way that it feels, but you do it anyway, that's not the fucking game's fault. Take a hard look in the goddamn mirror.
Are you actually asking some of these people to self-reflection, Brett? That's asking too much, man.
I'm guessing so, but
are you kidding me? I can do no wrong. I'm always
told
wrong.
how morally upstanding I am, no matter what choice I make.
Yeah, but it's again like it's all for hits, man. It looks like Spider-Man's hot, and
that's why it's the whole reason why the games journalist blew up all over that stupid puddle shit. It's all that is, and that is the problem. Stop falling for the rope-a-dope.
Well, to be fair though, for the puddle thing, they were making fun of the people who made a big deal out of it.
But again, it's obviously they're looking for controversy. And here's the thing: even reporting about it or something like that actually continues the talking about it. You know what I mean?
You know what?
Yeah.
So the minute that you decide to make that sort of call and look away from it, that's the moment when those sorts of things those sorts of things aren't done anymore. But everybody wants to find some sort of controversy into something, and then obviously because they have these kind of clickbait or sort of articles, people are going to start gravitating toward that stuff, and it's a shame.
Also, I'm going to say
we can't talk about how fun the damn game is or all the fun. Like you look at like Twitter, how people have just taken taking really fun Spider-Man pictures with it's like my timeline's totally filled up with that. Let's just look at that shit. Stop paying attention to people just grasping at straws.
Yeah, go ahead, Brett.
I don't think there are people grasping at straws. I think that people actually feel like offended by this. But here's the problem. Like,
who is being offended?
What's that?
Who is being offended?
The people writing these things.
The people that are writing these things, are these people actually people that have had police brutality upon them?
No, but that
can they tell the difference between a fucking video game and actual real life?
But does that matter? Like, you're asking who are these people, and I'm telling you, they're people who view police as the enemy. And don't get me wrong, I'm not here to advocate that every fucking police officer.
By the way, written by a bunch of people who've never interacted with the police, other than maybe a being drunk on the outside of a bar.
Wait, Spider-Man was written by these people?
No, the people who wrote these articles, like they've never actually interacted with the police.
They've never had any sort of real. They're a bunch of white people that just think that they're that they're just jumping on the bandwagon for things that they don't know a goddamn thing about.
No, they absolutely are. It's the idea of kind of a victim mentality. But here's the problem.
The thing is that it's victim mentality for people that aren't actually fucking victims.
Dude, you're coming real close to a bubble. I don't think you want to pop.
No, you mean the people writing these articles?
Well, the things that these people.
How much do you want to bet that the folks that wrote these articles have never actually interacted with the police? They've never had any of the sort of this stuff. How do you know that any of this? I would say if it was a person that actually had this sort of experience, yes, I can understand that. But these guys are just kind of grasping at straws. You could totally see it.
I'm not saying that they're not. I'm not legitimizing them in any way. In fact, the thing I'm trying to say is when you get to the point where you inherently view the entire police force as a group, as just the bad guys, you should probably check your perspective.
Yes.
Because there could be corrupt police forces. There could be police who are bad at their job. There could be I've literally had drugs planted. I think they were drugs supposedly planted on me. I don't know, because when I got to court, the prosecutor had been fired and all the evidence was mysteriously gone. All the evidence that I had never seen. So I can tell you, I've been there. There are bad ones. But the very purpose, the reason a police force exists is to keep crime at bay, to have a system of justice. And the second you start viewing that entire system of justice as wholesale corrupt, you've got a problem with your point of view. You now view this as, there are no exceptions to this rule. Because if you might realize that maybe Spider-Man's dealing with a lot of these exceptions, these rules. Or if you're willing to see nuance, you'll notice Spider-Man doesn't get along well with cops. In fact, there's only a couple cops, namely one in particular, who he really seems to be able to work with.
How come nobody ever questions this with fucking Batman? Seriously. It's the same sort.
Well, he works for Commissioner Gordon.
It's literally the same sort of situation. This girl, I can't remember her name, is essentially Spider-Man's Commissioner Gordon. And what's the difference?
Exactly. He doesn't report to her. He does things, and he hacks into the police broadcast system so that he can stop crimes. It doesn't mean the cops are telling him where to go. I think the problem here is,
and they're even saying that, and even some of the cops are just like, "Oh yeah, you know what? We won't tell anybody that you're hacking into our system." Even they know it.
But see, the problem with the people who wrote these articles are like, he's working with the NYPD, an organization that's been known to systemically endorse police brutality. Like, I'm not going to say the system isn't broken, But
Also,
again, you can't look at it like the entire system is corrupt and rotten from the core out, because there's nowhere to go from that point of view. What are you going to burn the police department to the ground and start a vigilante squad?
Yeah, that's something I've been saying. Like, and not to get too deep into it, but every time I see these things, like, yeah, fuck the police, fuck this. I'm like, okay, let's get rid of the police. Let's see how well the country's going to function without them. This is why, and I'm keeping it real. This is why whenever I pass by a police officer, I always say hi, or at least acknowledge their existence. You know, because without them, we would be fucked, you know. So I'm glad. And also, Brett, just to be clear, are you saying that police are human beings and they're different, or is that what you're saying? They're not just big monolith. Is that the crazy talk you're telling me?
Yeah. The guy with the mohawk and the neck tattoo is actually telling you that not every single police officer is an asshole.
Is out to get you.
Yeah.
And the job exists to serve a basic function that is necessary in modern day society.
Yeah, and are you telling me that just like regular people, some cops are great and some are fucking assholes? Is that what you're telling me? That there's just a plethora of different cops? You're blowing my mind right now.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you don't find the bad ones and fucking string them up legally. You put them through the legal system and make them pay for where they fucked up. You suspend their badge. You get them out of the police force. We need to start a new hiring campaign. I hate to get overly political here, but we need to start a hiring campaign. We need to get more minorities into the police force. How the fuck do you think you're going to solve the problems?
Which the NYPD has been pushing toward. They've been doing. In fact, many new cops are people of color. So are you saying that every single person that a black kid, a black person, a Hispanic person, Asian, anybody, all those people are also incredibly corrupt just because they decided to put the badge on?
Ooh, that's a good one. You think about that. It's like, okay, if all cops are evil and then we get a big influx of minority cops, are they suddenly evil? Like, come on, man. Like, they're all human beings, you know? It's insane. But again, just going back to the original thing, it's like, to bring this into a game, it doesn't need to be there. Like Manny said, let people look at the pictures, let people have fun. You don't have to bring this down. And if this is what you think about, you need to like check your priorities, man, because you can't just be thinking about all this negativity when you're playing a fucking fun game, man.
Yeah, when you're swinging around the city and you're like thinking like, man, the cops are assholes and I'm a total narc.
Like, yeah, it's like, come on, man.
Well, okay, there are games like one of the Yakuza or Mafia games or something like that. Like there are some games where you play as a cop, and so you're like, oh man, so I can't run around like just beating people up all willy nilly. And they're like, oh yeah, you are. You're a not by the books cop. And you're like, oh sweet, just gonna punch people. So like, I can understand when they're like, you're a cop, and you're like, I don't want to be a cop. That doesn't sound like I want to be able to. I'd rather be a member of the Yakuza instead.
Come on. One of the most awesomest cop games was literally about a guy who shot bullets in slow motion. Fucking Max Payne.
He was a renegade cop. He went off the rails.
There's that one. There's freaking, there's like Minority Report. That game was hilarious.
And remember the true crime games? They wouldn't let you shoot civilians in that,
And with the John Woo games. What was it? What the hell was the name of that game? It came out for Xbox first. Fuck.
Boiling Point type game.
Yeah, Boiling Point or whatever that was. You're playing essentially the policeman from the hard boiled.
Oh yeah. Jet Li.
Not Jet Li. The other one.
Chow Yun Fat.
Yeah, Chow Yun Fat. You're playing him, sliding on rails and all that.
That was fun. I like that one.
Oh yeah, I remember that. But yeah, I don't know. It's just sad. But it's like, everybody's having fun with this game. Let them have their fun. You don't have to bring the party down. Not to be a party pooper.
I find it odd that this sort of conversation is happening at the end, toward the end of this generation. But where at the beginning of this generation, what was Batman doing? Saving a bunch of cops, helping the police force to get to regain control of Gotham City.
Yeah, no, you're right. And that's basically a Batman story in general,
Dude, I love the idea that you're just a fucking vigilante constantly breaking the law. Like, you're working for the cops. Like, here's what everybody needs to do who has a problem with that. Strap on the punk rock Spider-Man outfit and ignore all the police calls. Congratulations, you're punk rock Spider-Man who says fuck the police.
All I'm going to say is if Spider-Man worked for the police in a literal sense, he wouldn't be having money problems like the way he is in the game. You know, this motherfucker like, yo, how am I gonna pay rent this month?
Motherfucker, you can't get paid. Well, no, I've even thought about it. That the reason I bring that up is because I played a good chunk of the first part of the game as Punk Rock Spider-Man, and for some reason, it made a whole lot of sense to me. Because, like, yeah, has a problem with authority, will not let things go through the proper channels, does things his own way, but generally has his own moral compass that he follows. He goes, hey, blowing up a building is wrong. I'm going to punch everybody in the face who wants to blow up that building. He's not calling the cops and letting him hang out. He's literally being a vigilante and a criminal, which is like
the law. Yeah,
breaking the law.
He's breaking the law by visiting violence upon people. He's just like, hey, I don't like what he's doing. I'm gonna punch him in the motherfucking jaw. Like that's what Spider-Man is actually doing. You want to call him like a pet of the police?
Yeah, and he's like, causing all this destruction during the city too, just trying to save people. Like whenever he gets on top of a car, tries to stop it. Like that's a lot of property damage he's doing. Like I don't think the cops like that.
Yeah, the cleanup job after he's done his job.
Yeah, he's like there are webs everywhere. They got to clean all this.
Yeah, do they have a Spider-Man de-webber in the NYPD?
Yeah, like and the guy's like grabbing shit, manholes or whatever, mailboxes. He's destroying all this stuff. It's like he's working for them, right? Come on, man.
Spider-Man destroys more mailboxes.
Yeah, right.
Menace.
I actually do have a theory, and this is like real, like Alex Jones, like tinfoil hat theory.
Oh no, you gotta take your shirt off, Brian.
It just seems a bit too coincidental for my liking, so hence why I think it may have some level of validity, if that's a word. I don't think so. Anyway, so first part is, and this is going to be a real soft spot. So first part is, again, Spider-Man takes place in New York, and that's part one. Part two is the whole thing that people are annoyed at how brutal the police are. And then the third part is what happened in New York approximately 17 years ago. So I feel like these guys may have realized that because it was the anniversary of that event, that they thought they might try to drum up some feels based on that event, and the fact that it's New York and New York has police, Spider-Man helps police. Maybe they thought that they might try and like hook everything together. Again, that's purely my tinfoil hat theory, and I don't know how valid that is, but that's just my thoughts.
Oh my God, Brian, you just made me realize something.
Uh-oh.
So I'm gonna walk through this slow. So people don't like Spider-Man working with the NYPD, and they don't like Spider-Man working with the NYPD because the NYPD has a history of police brutality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and police brutality is excessive force when detaining a suspect or otherwise detaining a suspect, especially with excessive force, and a lack of evidence, which is pretty much all Spider-Man does.
Yeah, Spider-Man.
I mean, really think about it. Yeah. Does he need to roundhouse kick a motherfucker in the jaw and then bind him to a wall? That seems a bit like excessive force, doesn't it?
Yeah, because Spider-Man could easily like find where the criminals are and then call the cops. He doesn't do that. He goes in there and beats the shit out of them.
Yeah, no, in the game, I have disarmed the gun out of people's hands, at which point they are no longer a lethal threat to me, and then proceeded to whip it around my head 3 times and wing it back into their skull at 40 miles an hour. That last bit is a little unnecessary. You could go through the whole game just knocking them down and then webbing them, but no, you don't. You let them get back up and then further beat the shit out of them.
I'm offended by this whole game now.
I just hit them. I just hit them all in the head with mailboxes and manhole covers, essentially giving every single one of those criminals some sort of concussion, which is kind of interesting because in a Stan Lee version of this world, he probably would have also made up some sort of storyline where the criminals try to sue Spider-Man because of the injuries that they received in his battles.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on a second, Manny. Are you telling me you're actually playing a video game? You got time now.
He found time.
But yeah,
I know. Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Spider-Man?
Or how about knocking someone off the roof only to have them bungee into a building or something?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
they fall like 30 stories.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. It's like, think about it. Spider-Man's having this big fight on the roof, right? You're the cop. What do you have to do? Not only you have to take care of the guys that are on the roof, you have to take care of the guys that Spider-Man webbed to the side of the building. It's, you know,
like, how do you get like,
He even says it at sometimes. He was like, "Yeah, you're gonna need a ladder, or you're gonna need something to get
yeah, he
these
says
guys."
like, you're gonna need a ladder, guys. It's hilarious.
and then at the same time, it's like, okay, you know, obvious. Well, but then again, the thugs kind of rip open the webs, which they're not supposed to do.
Yeah,
but
they're not. Yeah,
you know, like it's supposedly this impenetrable web that they somehow need to cut or wait for it to dissolve.
I could go off on a whole tangent about that. The webs in this game are inconsistent because on the one hand, they're okay. In the comics, they're supposed to dissolve. They're super strong, but they're supposed to dissolve after an hour, right? Yet there are backpacks all over the city that have been webbed up for years, right? So you get that. And then on the other hand, you have regular thugs ripping the webs. It's like, what? So it's strong enough to last for years, but a thug could rip it.
What do they call that? Ludonarrative dissonance or something?
Yeah, it's video games basically. Yeah, video games.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you webbed that shit up that's supposed to dissolve an hour ago, man. You know, how's it there for 8 years? You know, it's interesting, man. Anyway, any last thoughts on this whole silly controversy? It seems to mostly be over now, but for 3 days, that was the thing you saw for a lot of these websites concentrate on.
I don't know. It seems like a weird sort of thing to kind of complain, especially at the time that a certain event happened.
Yeah, that's kind of, if you really think about it, it's very disrespectful because the cops really helped out during 9/11.
Yeah,
I'm not even going to mince words. Like, you know, this all happened right at when, you know, people were remembering 9/11, right? So you're going to be like saying all this stuff about like the cops of New York City during that kind of bad taste.
Yeah, with how many that lost their lives to, you know, because, you know, trying to pull people out of the rubble or save, you know, or all that stuff. That's a little bit disrespectful. I mean, I know that the NYPD has done some really,
of course,
you know, some members of the
NYPD
you know, have done some really horrible things throughout the years. But you know what? That doesn't. I'm going to throw this back at you. It doesn't pales in comparison to what a certain police did in Philadelphia by bombing a fucking neighborhood.
Can I also throw out there that the other security force that maintains or sets up random checkpoints for mandatory stop and frisk searches, that was actually a nod to when that was a legislative battle in New York a few years ago, and how everybody decided that you can't just stop and frisk people. That it is a violation of your civil liberties, of your civil rights. And the game even basically frames it in such a way where they're like, yeah, they're being super illegal about taking away people's rights, and this is super fucked up. So in the game that you're talking about, that's, you know, like, how dare he you know, Spider-Man team up with cops, they are nodding to and acknowledging how fucked up stop and frisk was. So like, you get both sides, man. You can't have your cake and eat it too. There's something in stories and video games where you break down things into their themes and their elements instead of just directly jamming the situation as you know it down somebody's throat. It's why not all the X-Men are like, they have wings or they're blue or things like that. And they're not just all black people with powers. It's subtlety, motherfuckers.
Yeah, subtlety. I guess they don't know that, you know. But you're right. Yeah. It's like, yeah, that message is in there, but done in a comic booky way, the way it's supposed to be done. You know, you can't just be literal about it, you know. Yeah. By the way, there is a comic book out there called Black that is about black people with superpowers.
No, I believe it. My point was like that.
Strange Fruit.
And it's the covers are drawn by
Kari, man. Shout out. Yeah. No, but Brad, your point is completely on point, Brad. You know, it's like, yeah, it's like, come on, guys. Like, it's what these guys are looking for. It's already in the game. It's just they probably didn't play that far to see it. To be honest,
yeah, I don't know.
So they want a 1-to-1 representation.
Yes. That's not how fiction works, man.
The city is not even a 1-to-1 representation.
It doesn't age well. You're right. It dates it. Yeah, it dates it. It totally dates it. You know.
And the thing is too, like, okay, if you're trying to get somebody to look at something from a certain point of view, like let's say somebody doesn't, you know, they were raised by racist parents or something like that, and they didn't understand the civil rights movement or why it was so important, but they fucking fell in love with X-Men. They can draw the parallels between the civil rights movement and the X-Men comics and start to see things through a different point of view, because the X-Men provide you a lens to deal with all this stuff in thematic generalizations, as opposed to how it directly applies to your life. Because you may have been raised by horribly racist parents and think terribly disparaging things about people of opposite color, and you can't think around that block that's been put in you. But then you read the X-Men, you kind of realize, like, wow, it's no different than this. And it's not subtle. All right, this isn't a subtle X-Men isn't a subtle metaphor, but it can give people a slightly different perspective that can then open their mind. If you give people a 1-to-1 ratio, a lot of times they won't even be open to the message. That's the fucking problem.
Yeah, exactly. That makes you think about the meme. It's like, that guy's like, oh, like when you realize it, and that's what great fiction does. It makes you see the world in a way that you normally wouldn't, because you're right. If you just say the thing flat out, you're going to dismiss it probably, but if you get it in a way that's entertaining, you go, oh shit. Yeah, that's kind of fucked up. Yeah. So, and I think Spider-Man does do a good job of that. Like, when I was during those starts, I was like, oh yeah, this is very reminiscent of the stop and frisk, but obviously with fucking soldiers with crazy ass weaponry, like
with laser rifles.
Yeah, the way but that's how fiction works.
The way that a stop and frisk makes you feel like police look. Like when you get stop and frisk, it turns the police in your mind into an armed militarized force.
Yeah,
they are literally representing that by an armed militarized force in conjunction with the police department through corrupt government. Like, I don't know how else you people want it. What do you want, icing on this fucking cake?
Oh, Jesus, man. Anyway, before we go, I don't think people are taking these fucking codes, but I left both Call of Duty codes in there. Take them if you want them, guys. It's funny. I'm giving codes away. Nobody wants them. Adam, that tells you something right there, doesn't it?
I told you, people. I'm not talking shit. This is the way it is.
Is that so? So are they calling it duty?
They're calling it duty, man. Call it duty,
Call it duty.
Call it duty, man. All right, man. So let's wrap this motherfucker up. So thank you for watching and listening. Subscribe to Throwdown on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Follow us on Twitch, Mixer, Twitter, and Periscope at Throwdown Show. Almost forgot the name of the thing. Links are located in the description below. Once again, I was your host, Tony Polanco. Times written by Emilio Lopez.
Well, see you later, guys. Just a couple of things for here. I hope you enjoy these Zone of Enders illustrations that I hooked up with Konami EU to do. They're all up there, so you can check out. Also,
where?
On Twitter. You can check them out on Twitter at Konami EU. They posted pretty much everything that I did for them, which is fun. Also, I'd like to another piece of my work had just dropped for a game called Fractured Lands. If you like those sorts of, what do they call it? Battle Royale type of games. This is kind of like Battle Royale, buddy. Mad Max. And I just finished off some artwork for that. And that's up right now on Fractured Lands on Twitter and their website. And they're having a free thing this weekend. So you guys can go check that one out. And also don't forget to, if you're in the Pennsylvania or Philly area, I'm going to be at the Keystone Comic Con selling my wares or whatever, drop by, say hello, good stuff.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero.
Peace out.
Brett Murdoch.
It has been real, party people.
Adam Vale.
Have a good weekend.
And Brian Manjoma.
I think that may be like one of the most political throwdowns we've ever had.
Yeah, that is. Probably.
Yeah, it happens every once in a while, All right, guys. We'll see you on Sunday, man. Later.
Peace.
Laters.
Deuces.